On this day in history, we remember the remarkable individuals who shaped our world. Welcome to Who Died Today in History, where we honor their legacies. From artists to leaders, their impact lives on. If you find their stories meaningful, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay connected. Coco Lee, an internationally acclaimed singer, songwriter, and actress, passed away on July 5, 2023, at the age of 48. Her death, ruled as suicide following a long battle with depression, sent shockwaves throughout Asia and the global music industry. It illuminated not only the personal pain she endured, but also the lingering stigma surrounding mental health, especially in cultures that often associate success with emotional invincibility. Born in Hong Kong and raised in the United States, Coco Lee bridged East and West with unprecedented grace. She achieved fame in Mandarin and Cantonese-speaking markets before breaking into the global spotlight with her English-language album, Just No Other Way, and her performance of the Oscar-nominated song, A Love Before Time, from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon at the Academy Awards. Her death came as a shock, especially given her reputation as a vibrant and energetic performer who was often seen championing positivity and resilience. The immediate consequence of her death was an outpouring of grief from fans and fellow artists worldwide. It also sparked widespread dialogue in Chinese-speaking communities about mental health, a subject too often silenced. Her passing became a painful but powerful symbol of the hidden struggles many artists endure beneath the spotlight, a reality especially pronounced in the hyper-competitive, image-conscious entertainment industries of East Asia. Coco Lee's death amplified her legacy, not in terms of commercial success, but through the emotional resonance of her life's narrative. She stood as a pioneer, the first Chinese American to perform at the Oscars, a voice that navigated the complexities of cultural duality, and a woman who championed empowerment. In death, she was elevated from pop icon to a more profound figure of empathy and awareness. Her legacy endures in many forms: tributes across global music platforms, fans revisiting her timeless performances, and ongoing conversations about the importance of mental health support for artists. Her songs, especially those about inner strength and vulnerability, have taken on new meaning, offering solace and solidarity. Coco Lee's death reveals a timeless truth, that mortality does not silence the voice of those who lived with purpose and passion. Through music, memory, and the raw honesty of her journey, she remains a luminary, one whose star, though no longer visible, continues to guide others through darkness toward understanding and light. Carole Landis, a luminous star of 1940s Hollywood, died tragically young on July 5, 1948, at the age of 29. Her death was ruled a suicide by overdose of Seconal, a barbiturate. The circumstances surrounding her passing shocked both the public and the film industry, not only because of her fame and beauty, but also because of the rumors and heartbreak entwined in her personal life, particularly her relationship with married actor Rex Harrison. Landis had been a beloved pinup girl during World War II, admired by American servicemen for her vibrant spirit and patriotic tours. She entertained troops overseas as part of the USO, visiting battle zones that many others avoided. Her devotion to the war effort earned her the nickname the Blonde Bombshell, and a special place in the hearts of a generation. Yet behind the camera and glamour, Landis struggled with mental health, turbulent relationships, and the emotional toll of a career that never quite reached the leading lady heights she aspired to. Her death, discovered by Harrison himself, highlighted the darker side of the golden age of Hollywood, an era that valued beauty and marketability over the emotional well-being of its stars. The studio system, while glamorous, was notoriously unforgiving, and women especially were often reduced to their public image. Carole's demise served as a harrowing reminder of how fame can conceal deep personal anguish. The immediate aftermath of her death involved public mourning, but also intense speculation. Many felt her romantic entanglement with Rex Harrison contributed to her despair. Others blamed the pressure of the industry. Either way, the scandal threatened to derail Harrison's career and expose the entertainment world's quiet tolerance for emotional suffering beneath the glittering surface. Over time, Carole Landis's death has become part of a broader narrative about the cost of fame, especially for women in Hollywood. Her life and tragic end are immortalized in biographies, film retrospectives, and scholarly examinations of the era. While she may not have achieved the cinematic legacy of some contemporaries, her story endures as a cautionary tale and a symbol of a woman ahead of her time, undone by a world not yet ready to support her. In remembering Landis, we confront a universal truth. Behind stardom lies humanity, and in death, even those who shine brightest are finally seen in full light. Yvonne Furneaux, the French-English actress known for her elegance, complexity, and powerful screen presence, passed away at the age of 98. Her death, attributed to natural causes, marked the peaceful close of a life that spanned nearly a century, and a career that intersected with some of the most iconic names and movements in European cinema. Furneaux was best known for her roles in Federico Fellini's La Dolce Vita, 1960, and Roman Polanski's Repulsion, 1965. Films that not only challenged cinematic conventions, but also reflected the evolving values of post-war Europe. As a performer, she embodied the enigmatic femininity of the era, poised yet mysterious, beautiful yet emotionally opaque. Her career highlighted a pivotal moment in film history when the lines between art and mainstream cinema blurred, and when actresses like Furneaux were no longer just muses, but integral to the emotional and thematic architecture of the story. Her death, while not surrounded by scandal or tragedy, served as a reminder of a bygone era of filmmaking, one that placed high value on subtlety, atmosphere, and the moral complexities of modern life. Furneaux had largely retired from public life in later years, and her passing did not send shockwaves through popular media. Instead, it invited quiet reflection from film historians and cinephiles who recognized her contributions to cinematic history. For many, her death symbolized the final notes of a symphony composed by the European art house movement of the 1950s and 60s. Unlike stars whose untimely deaths immortalized them in youth and tragedy, Furneaux's longevity allowed for a full appreciation of her artistry. Her legacy was amplified not through drama, but through reverence, studied performances, and film retrospectives. Institutions like the British Film Institute and the Cinémathèque Française commemorated her with screenings and tributes, ensuring that new generations could discover her work. Her death invites reflection on humanity's relationship with legacy. In contrast to violent or abrupt departures that dominate headlines, Furneaux's life and peaceful passing emphasize the value of endurance, grace, and quiet influence. Through carefully crafted performances and association with timeless films, she became a vessel for the era's moral and aesthetic evolution. Yvonne Furneaux is immortalized not through myth, but through film, a medium that, like memory itself, preserves and reanimates the fleeting power of presence. William Smith, the rugged and prolific American actor renowned for his deep voice, towering presence, and villainous roles, died of natural causes on July 5, 2021, at the age of 88. Best known for his work in action films and television throughout the 1960s to the 1980s, Smith's death marked the quiet end of a career built on toughness, endurance, and an old-school work ethic emblematic of his generation. Smith's persona, whether as a hard-edged biker, relentless antagonist, or occasionally a misunderstood anti-hero, was shaped by the cultural climate of mid-century America. His roles mirrored Cold War masculinity, stoic, physically dominant, and emotionally restrained. In films like Any Which Way You Can, opposite Clint Eastwood, or as Conan's father in Conan the Barbarian, Smith symbolized the gritty ideal of manhood in an era fascinated with strength and stoicism. His death, while not sudden or scandalous, was a reminder of a disappearing archetype in American storytelling, one forged in post-war anxieties and 1970s cynicism. Unlike stars whose deaths spark cultural reckonings or public mourning, Smith's passing was more subdued, yet deeply felt among fans of genre cinema and television. His legacy was not built on celebrity scandal or awards, but on volume and dedication. He accrued nearly 300 film and TV credits, including iconic series like Hawaii Five-0, Laredo, and Rich Man, Poor Man. In that way, his death underscored the quiet contributions of character actors who form the backbone of cinematic storytelling, but often exist in the shadows of marquee names. His passing did not shift the trajectory of Hollywood history, but instead offered an occasion to reflect on the cultural values his work embodied: discipline, resilience, and a commitment to craft over fame. Smith was a real-life tough guy, fluent in several languages, a former bodybuilder, and a U.S. Air Force veteran. His career was a testament to endurance, and his life a reminder that fame need not be fleeting if grounded in substance. In remembering William Smith, we confront our reverence for strength and the inevitable fading of those who once defined it. He is immortalized not through headlines or monuments, but through the sheer force of performance. A man whose legacy lives on in reruns, cult classics, and the echo of a growl that once filled American living rooms. Ted Williams, one of baseball's greatest hitters and a cultural icon of 20th century America, died of natural causes on July 5, 2002, at the age of 83. His death closed the chapter on a life that transcended sports, bridging wartime heroism, athletic excellence, and enduring public fascination. Though his final years were marked by controversy over the handling of his remains, Williams' death brought renewed reflection on a figure whose legacy was as much about character and conviction as it was about records. Born in 1918, Williams came of age during the Great Depression and played in the golden era of baseball. His dedication to excellence, epitomized by his .406 batting average in 1941, a feat still unmatched, reflected a national ethos that valued perseverance, discipline, and grit. When he left the sport in his prime to serve in World War II and later the Korean War as a fighter pilot, Williams further aligned himself with the self-sacrificing values of his generation. His death in the early 21st century, then, marked more than the loss of a sports legend. It was a symbolic farewell to a kind of American heroism forged in the mid-20th century. The immediate consequences of Williams's death were complicated by a family dispute over his remains. His son's decision to have his body cryonically preserved rather than buried ignited public debate about legacy, bodily autonomy, and the boundaries of science. For many fans, this bizarre controversy clashed sharply with the stoic, no-nonsense persona Williams projected in life. It also underscored how, even in death, public figures can become vessels for our cultural anxieties about mortality, technological limits, and familial loyalty. Despite the controversy, Williams' legend was only amplified. The Baseball Hall of Fame, where he had been enshrined since 1966, celebrated his contributions anew, while sports writers, veterans, and fans recounted stories of his precision, patriotism, and fierce independence. Statues, documentaries, and books followed, ensuring that his name endured in the American consciousness. Ted Williams's death reminds us that how a person lives and how they are remembered often reflects the values of the society that elevates them. His legacy, sculpted from athletic brilliance and wartime service, is immortalized not just in bronze or records, but in the collective memory of a nation that once saw in him the best of itself, strong, principled, and unflinching in the face of challenge. Raffaella Carrà, the beloved Italian singer, dancer, actress, and television presenter, passed away on July 5, 2021, at the age of 78, following a private battle with lung cancer. Her death marked the end of an era not only in Italian pop culture, but across much of Europe and Latin America, where she was embraced as a symbol of joy, empowerment, and unapologetic self-expression. Carra's death, though natural, reflected the quiet dignity with which she approached her final years. In an era defined by celebrity overexposure, her decision to keep her illness private until her passing speaks volumes about the values she upheld: professionalism, poise, and the desire to be remembered not for decline, but for vitality. Her departure struck a chord in a modern Europe still navigating issues of gender equality, identity, and the enduring power of mass media to shape cultural icons. The immediate aftermath of her death saw widespread tributes, from Italy's prime minister to performers around the world. Cities like Rome and Madrid lit up landmarks in her honor, while fans danced in the streets to Tanti auguri and A far l'amore comincia tu. Her passing did not simply trigger mourning. It ignited a celebration of a life that, for many, represented freedom, particularly for women and LGBTQ+ communities. In Spain, where she was adored, Carra's image became a cultural shorthand for liberation and glamour, her legacy amplified rather than diminished by her death. Carra's influence was particularly resonant in her defiance of conservative norms during the 1970s and 1980s. At a time when the Catholic Church still wielded immense social control in Italy, she danced in crop tops on national television and sang boldly about female desire. Her artistry reflected the shifting values of a Europe in cultural transition toward greater openness, sexual autonomy, and diversity. Her memory lives on in many forms: biopics in development, public murals, tribute concerts, and a lasting presence in music and television. Her legacy is also etched in the cultural fabric of nations, where joy and rebellion danced side by side through her image. Raffaella Carra's death reminds us that true cultural icons are not bound by borders or languages. They live on through the joy they give, the norms they challenge, and the memories they help create. In remembering her, we reaffirm how music, movement, and a fearless voice can outlive the body and continue to inspire generations. Rosemary Murphy, a distinguished American actress of stage and screen, passed away on July 5, 2014, at the age of 89 from esophageal cancer. Her death marked the quiet end of a long and thoughtful career, rooted in character-driven performances and a dedication to the craft of acting over celebrity. Murphy's passing, though from natural causes, was emblematic of the transition from the golden age of television and stage acting to a more digitally driven, fast-paced entertainment industry. Her career, spanning more than 5 decades, reflected the values of her time: discipline, subtlety, and the importance of storytelling as a vehicle for both entertainment and social reflection. She gained wide recognition for her Emmy-winning role in Eleanor and Franklin, 1976, portraying Sarah Delano Roosevelt, and for her memorable turn as Miss Maudie in To Kill a Mockingbird, 1962, a film that became a landmark in addressing racial justice through cinema. The immediate consequences of her passing were not marked by the media spectacle that often surrounds celebrity deaths today. Instead, tributes emerged from the theater and film communities, honoring a woman whose performances added quiet strength and depth to American cultural history. While her death may not have shifted historical trajectories, it served as a moment of reflection on a type of artistry that emphasized dignity and grace, values often overshadowed in modern celebrity culture. Murphy's death reminds us that history is shaped not only by headline makers, but also by the steady presence of those who embody the changing conscience of a nation. Her role in To Kill a Mockingbird is particularly telling. Miss Maudie, a character of moral clarity and compassion, mirrored the civil rights struggles of the 1960s, giving audiences a moral compass during turbulent times. Murphy's portrayal helped humanize the fight for justice and dignity, anchoring the film's message in believable everyday heroism. In death, Rosemary Murphy is commemorated through the enduring relevance of her work. Her performances continue to be studied in acting classes and revisited in discussions of socially conscious cinema. Through film, theater archives, and the memories of those she influenced, her legacy lives on. Her passing underscores our relationship with mortality as not just a farewell, but a punctuation mark in a life that added meaning to collective memory. We immortalize figures like Murphy not through monuments or scandal, but through the values their lives quietly upheld, and the art that keeps them alive. Katy Jurado, the trailblazing Mexican actress who broke barriers in Hollywood during the mid-20th century, died of natural causes on July 5, 2002, in Cuernavaca, Mexico, at the age of 78. She had been suffering from lung and heart problems for some time. Her passing marked the end of a remarkable life shaped by defiance, artistry, and cultural transcendence. As one of the first Latina actresses to find success in the American film industry, Jurado's death echoed the long-standing struggle of Latin American artists fighting for recognition in a system historically dominated by Anglo narratives. Jurado's death did not cause global shockwaves like that of a head of state or iconic pop figure, yet its significance lies in the legacy she left behind. She was the first Latin American woman nominated for an Academy Award for Broken Lance in 1954, and the first to win a Golden Globe, High Noon, 1952. Her roles were often strong, layered women, defying stereotypes in an era when Latinas were largely confined to tokenized or hypersexualized parts. In this way, her legacy became part of a larger cultural movement, opening doors for future generations of Latinx actors. Her passing was mourned across both the Mexican and American entertainment industries, reflecting her dual identity and the cross-border influence of her work. For Mexico, she symbolized national pride and artistic excellence. For Hollywood, she was a pioneer whose work enriched the storytelling landscape. Tributes celebrated not just her talent, but her resilience and authenticity. She famously rejected Hollywood's demand to change her accent or her name, insisting on being seen for who she truly was. Jurado's story is a lens through which we can examine the relationship between mortality and legacy. Her death reminds us that cultural memory often favors those who challenge boundaries, speak truths, and embody values greater than fame alone. While she may not be commemorated with grand monuments, her image lives on in film retrospectives, biographical documentaries, and academic studies focused on Latinx contributions to cinema. Ultimately, Katy Jurado is immortalized through the characters she brought to life, fiery, compassionate, unyielding, and through the path she carved for others. Her death was natural, but her legacy remains revolutionary, reminding us that real power often lies not in domination, but in the courage to exist authentically within a world slow to embrace difference.